Hello everyone, welcome to this is our class 4, and we will be continuing with data. Okay, that is where we stopped in the last class. We'll be talking more about data. Okay, data, how to operate on data, what are the operations that are available, what are some of the data types, what can we do with data, how do we name our data, how do we store our data, okay, so that our program can actually use it to work. All right. So we'll be working on that. We'll be talking about that in this class. And let's open our Visual Studio Code. I'll open my that folder. Okay, always have your code in this your that folder. I'll open my that folder, and I'm going to open this single file. I'll right click on this single file and I will open it in Visual Studio Code. All right. So, those days when we started learning computer, they told us that the computer is a device that takes in data, processes data, and gives you output, all right? And that is it, okay? Now, let's talk about data, all right? The data you give the computer, what do you want the computer to do with the data? How do you want it to run? You as the programmer is in charge, all right? You're the one to tell the computer what to do with your data, okay? So when we were ending the other class, we mentioned about data like this. So, but I think I will have to start afresh, okay? Now, basically, what are variables, okay? Now, variable is just, basically our data, the computer stores the data in memory, all right? So this memory is like, when you come to your street, every house has an address. So memory has address, okay? But that's beyond this class. That topic is beyond this class. Memory has address, okay? So, but it is something that the address of memory, if they give it to you, you cannot read it. It is in zeros and ones, okay? So, but since this is a higher level language, all right, we will be working with variables. Variable is like a synthetic sugar, a name, all right, that you give to a memory location, okay? So let's say I want to store my name. My name is Paulson, and I want to store my name. So I will have to tell the computer, all right, store my name in a particular location and give it this name. Give the variable name. This is the name I want you to call this variable, so that anytime I want to use it, I would actually call that variable name and you know what to do with it. So how do you declare a variable, all right? And how do you actually store data in a variable? Remember that is a typed language, okay? It is a very statically typed language. Everything must have a type. Every data must have a type, all right? So let's say I want to store my name. We'll be talking about data types later, but the data type of something like your name, your address, okay? Anything that comes in characters, a collection of characters, okay? The data type is string. So let me say, I want to save my name and I will give it a data type. This is how you declare the data type first. I will say string, my name. So this is a variable. Now I have given it a name. All right. Now this is a valid variable. All right. What the computer will do for me, now the computer is going to create is going to create a space for me. It was going to allocate a space for me in memory. And the computer, anytime I say my name, anytime I call my name, the computer will go to that address and fetch the data for me. So this is one way you declare a variable. But another way also, you can also, once you declare a variable like this, you can now assign it a data. All right, you store data inside your variable. All right, I can now say my name is equal to Paulson. Okay, my name is equal to Paulson. And this is how I created a variable. I told the computer, I want you to allocate a space for me in the memory and give it this name so that anytime I want to use it, I will call it. And if I want to store data, if I want to retrieve data, I will just use this my name as a reference. Okay. Now, This is how you do it. You declare the variable and you assign. Now, this assignment operator, this equal sign is the assignment operator. You know, in mathematics, it is actually equal, the equal operator. But here, it is assignment operator. All right, you use it to assign a value to a variable. Right now, I said, I'm telling the computer, please, I want you to store person, store it in this particular memory location. All right, so that is it. So let's say, and now I want to use it now. I will now tell the computer, okay, print it for me. Print my name for me. All right, it will print my name for me. And when I run this code now, all right, it would give me my name. It's printing out my name for me. You see it. Look at it. I created I told the computer, please, I want you to reserve a memory location for me. Call it my name. Okay, so that anytime I want to make use of that memory location, I will just use this name to make reference to it. So in the line 3 of this code, I now said, okay, this particular memory location, computer, please store this value inside this memory location. Then whenever I want to make use of it, I can make use of it. I can change it. I can print it out. So here I'm printing it out. Okay, I'm printing it out so you can see. Now this is how you declare variable. You can also say, let's declare another variable, my age, and the data type of this age will be integer. Okay, it will be integer, and I say my age is 67. All right. Do you understand now? I created, look at this way, look at this one now. I declared and I assigned immediately on the same line. But when I declared my name, I declared it, then and I did the assignment later in the second line. You can do it like this. You can declare and assign immediately, or you can declare and later you assign. Okay, so I can now tell the computer to print this for me. I can say, I can print this. I can say, my name is person, and I am this years old. Okay. All right. So you can see now I'm making use of the variable. I'm making use of the data in that variable. Anytime the computer sees my age or my name, it will go and fetch the data for me and do whatever I ask it to do. So if I now say, if I click run, it's going to say, my name is person and I'm 67 years old. Okay. Now, please, I know you might be confused by this $sign you're seeing. Don't worry, later when we talk about strings, okay, and properties of string, we are going to discuss that. Okay, so for now, just ignore it. All right, so you declare variable, you give it a type. You must give it a type. You must give it a type. Now, this type is called type annotation. All right, you must give every variable a type. All right, and you can see the assignment operator. All right, you can see the assignment operator. You use it to assign a value to a variable. You use it to store. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, even if you don't get this thing, find a way to just, this is how it's being done. If you want to create a variable, this is how you do it. If you want to assign a variable, a value to a variable, this is how you do it. Just as you do these things, as you go on, this thing you will get to understand better. Okay. Now, the next thing I want us to talk about is type safety. Type safety of that programming language. That programming language is type safe. Okay. What does it mean? You can see here, I declared my age as an integer. The data type of my age is an integer. So when we say type safety, it means that I cannot assign any value that is not an integer in this. That means I cannot store. Well, this is my declaration. I told the computer, my age, the kind of data, the data type I would want to store in my age is integer. Please don't ever store anything that is not integer in this my age. Now look at it. If I try to say age, sorry, if I try to say my age is equal to hello, you will see that the that compiler will say, look at what it's saying, a value of type string can be assigned to a variable of type int. So this is what we mean by type safety. Every variable has this type safety. Every variable is type safe, okay? What it means is that once you have given it a particular data type, this is what the kind of data type that will be stored in this location. Nobody can assign or store another data type. With this, errors will be less. It helps. Don't worry, as you go on, you're going to understand, okay? Now, this will help you to have less errors in your application, okay? Now, there's something else we also call type inference. Now, the thing is this, here, you are explicitly telling that compiler that my age is an integer. That compiler can also do something like this. That compiler can help you and infer. We call it type inference. Now look at it. I want to say my salary. Okay. I'm not going to give it a type. Okay. I will now say equal to, my salary is equal to 700 whatever. Okay. Okay, sorry. I will have to use the keyword var. I will have to use var, please. Sorry about that. Okay. So here I'm declaring var, and what will happen is this. Okay. What will happen is this. The computer is going to infer the type for me. Can you see when if I hover over this, my salary, the computer, look at it, the type is int. I didn't put the type. I didn't put the type, but because of the value I gave it, the compiler has just inferred the type for me. Do you understand? If I say my salary is a string, you enclose whatever you want in a double quote. So now this is a string right now. So if I hover over now, you can see the type now has changed to string. Okay, if I make it 7.000, all right, this is now a double. If I hover over my salary, it is not double. So based on the value you give, all right, you are storing in the variable, the compiler would infer the type for you. Okay, but it is advised. Okay, some people actually prefer it because you don't need to type the int. But if you're looking at this code and this code and this code, you can see that this one is even harder to understand. This one is easier to understand. Okay, so this is what you will see it in the book you're going to get. Remember to ask me for the textbook, all right, for that course, all right. Chat me on WhatsApp and I'll send it to you. Okay, so you will see it in books while you will see this type inference. So I want you to understand this. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about constants. Okay. Let's delete all these things and let's talk about constants. All right. Now, before I talk about constants, I want to talk about variable again. Now, variable and constants. Okay. Look at it. A variable varies. What it means is that the value can change, but it must be of the same type. Just like I can change my name, I can change my name to equal to, I can change it to Henry. And it is cool. Do you understand? So a variable varies. That means you can change the value, but it must be of the same type. But a constant would not change. For you to make a variable a constant, all you have to do is before the type annotation, you just have to put the const keyword. You start it with const. Okay, and you can see there are a lot of errors now. It's saying the constant my name must be initialized. So you must initialize a constant. You can see the difference now between a constant and a variable. If I remove this const now, okay, the computer will not complain, the compiler will not complain. But once I put the const, it means that this particular variable cannot change. So it's a constant and it must be initialized. So for me to initialize it, all right, I can say, okay, this is equal to John. But there is a problem. There are other problems now. Look at it. In the third line, I am saying my name is equal to Paulson. Look at the error here. It says constant variables can't be assigned a value. You have assigned a value, you cannot change again. That is the difference between a constant and a variable. All right. So I cannot change the value again. Do you understand it? Okay. So that's constant. Now, I believe you, before I say this and I want to say now, there are two types of constants. All right. The one you use the const keyword for, and the one you use final. I can say final string, my title is equal to Mr. Okay. All right. Okay. So I cannot change my title, just like I cannot change the const. I cannot change my title to another thing. I cannot. Let me just put it P. I cannot change. It says final variable my title can only be set once. So it's the same thing with the const keyword. So if you want to create a constant, a value that will not change, if you want to save a value that will not change, you use constant or final. But you might be asking, what's the difference? Okay, both of them are constant, it cannot change. So what's the difference? Why should I use const? Why should I use const over final? Now look at it. If you remember in our first class, I mentioned compilers and interpreters, and this is basically going to be, it has to do with the compiler. There's something they call compile time, and there's something they call the run time. Okay, there's something they call compile time, and there's something they call the run time. Okay, now when they say something compile time errors, okay, or at compile time, the thing is this: runtime is when your application is running. All right. If I am to run this application now, if I click run, this application is running. Okay, it is running, and it's printed my name is John. I'm 7 years old. Okay, but when that one is runtime, so what is runtime is that time your application is running. This one just exited for how many seconds? Most applications will run for a very long time. Okay, now your Android applications, they are running. Okay, your WhatsApp is always running. Once it's on, it's running. So that's run time. Okay, now compile time is why, before when I click run, this application will be compiled. Remember, if you have forgotten, please go back to the first. That's the reason why I mentioned that's why I took my time to actually explain that. Okay. Now, this particular, when you use const, okay, it is assigning this variable at compile time. That means you must initialize it. Okay, look at it. Look at it. When I didn't initialize it, it says the constant my name must be initialized. Then look at the difference now. If I do not initialize this, it doesn't give me that error. You see it? It doesn't give me that error. But the only thing is that it's just saying that it's not used. It doesn't give me that error. I can just, let me use it and say my title so that I will not get that. Look at it. There is no error here. Okay? Forget about this one here, okay? Because forget about this one here. But I'm talking about the difference between const and final, all right? Now, this is a compile time error, all right? But this is a compile time error. But this one will only have the error at runtime. The final, okay, will only come at runtime. So you can give this, you can assign the final variable, all right, a value at runtime. Values like, okay, all right, let me try and use dates. Okay, let me use this example. I can say date, sorry, equal to time date time dot now. All right. Now this will, so I don't have to put this. Okay. Now look at it. This date time dot now, we will only know the value at runtime. All right. We only know the value at runtime. So if you're going to get your value at runtime, if your value is going to be an evaluation of an expression, you can use final. But the thing is that even if you use the final, you cannot change it. I cannot come and say my title and I will now assign another variable here. It will not work. That is where I will not get that error. It says final variable my title can only be set once. Okay. Now, but the difference here is this. This one happens. You must assign this. When you want to use a constant, and you're using the const keyword to create your constant, the value must be available at compile time. All right. But when you want to use, when the value will come at runtime, you can use final. When we start developing Flutter applications, when we start reading data from the database or from the network, you're going to see the more reasons, you're going to understand this better. So, but once you have a value in your program that is not going to change, something like pi, all right? Pi will always be, Shebi is 3.14. Sorry if I didn't get it, I have forgotten. Okay, so, but I have to change the data type, all right? You see, all right? All right, so this is just warning, but it's not an error. It's telling me I have not used the variable, so that I have to use it, okay? So look at it. So this value does not change. Pi is always 3.14. I don't know if I got it correct, but you understand what I mean. It is always the same. It doesn't change. It's a constant. It cannot change. So these are the reasons why, or the scenarios when you use const. Okay. So now, but I can still use. I can still give this final. I can still give it a variable that is at the compile time. But instead of me doing this, I will just have to use. If I have the value at compile time, I better use const. But if I do not know the value at compile time, if I'm going to get the value at runtime, just like the date.now will get me the value at runtime, you have to use final, okay? So I believe I didn't confuse you, all right? I think the only thing that might be confusing here is compile time and runtime, but if you have watched that first video and you understood it, it will not be a problem. But in case you have any problem, please, I'm available, chat me up and I would help out, okay? So now let's talk about naming our variables. You must give your variables meaningful names, okay? You must give your variables meaningful name, all right? Your variables, okay, should start, or is a rule, all right? It's a convention, but nobody is going to force you. Your variables should start with a lowercase. Constant pi is equal to 3.14. All right, it must start, let all your variables start with a lowercase. So, but if you have a variable that has two names, something like what's the example I can get right now? What example are in front of me right now? Job title. Let's say job title. You can see job title has two names. You can say const job title. You can see how I did it. The first one, the job started with a small letter, a lowercase letter, but the title, job title, these are two different words. So instead of me doing job hyphen, you see, don't do that. Okay, use a capital letter to indicate the next word. If you have another one, job title, whatever, all right, you now use a capital letter for the next one. So this is called Pascal case. Okay, Pascal case. Sorry, it's not Pascal. Sorry, this is called camel case. All right, sorry, it is called camel case. You can see the camel case. Now you see how camel, all right? So look at the job. Started with a lowercase, then the uppercase. So that is how the camel looks now, all right? So this is camel case. You can also choose to use Pascal case. Instead of this, instead of starting you, everything will just be uppercase or true. But the preferred one, the recommended one is Pascal case. It's up to you. You can do any one you want to do. Okay. All right. So please, you would also want to avoid using. Okay. Another thing about this is if you have abbreviations, okay, just like URL, okay, source. Let's say, let me use say string source. Sorry, am I correct? Source, am I correct? Sorry, source URL. Okay, you see, I'm still using the camel casing, all right? But when you have abbreviations, okay, when you have you know, URL is an abbreviation, so treat it like a word like this. But in a language like Go, they will tell you their recommendation is anything that is abbreviation should be uppercase or true. But that is saying treat it like this, treat it like a word, and let it not be uppercase. So every programming language has their recommendations, and but for that, your abbreviations, treat it like a word. Okay. So now, before we end this course, I would want us to touch on operators. Okay, I would want us to touch on some operators, okay, that we haven't seen. All right. The first one we are going to talk about is the plus equal to. Plus equal to. Plus equal to. All right. How does it work? Now, let's say I have an integer. I say count. All right. And I initialize it to 0. All right. Okay. If I want to increase this value, the value of count, okay, by 2, by 3, by 1, by 5, whatever, okay, I can come and say count. I can say count plus equal to 10. Do you understand? What I'm doing here is what this operator is doing here is that this is the same thing as, I'm using a comment here, the same thing as count is equal to count plus 10. It's the same thing, but you can see now, with the second one, I have to type plenty. But here, the typing is not plenty. So if I print count now, it will now be 10 instead of 0. All right, so because I incremented it, okay, I print it will now be 10. So I can increment it by 1. I can increment it by 1. I can increment it by 2, any number at all. Okay, so that is it. We also have minus equal to. How does it work? You can guess. It will just but before we do this, I will have to make this thing 10 so that when we are deducting, so it's just the same thing as count count minus 2. Okay, just the same thing like this. So if I print count, and I'm going to get 8. Okay, so you can see, all right. So we also have now If you just want to increment by 1, if you just want to increment by 1, there is no need using this one. You can use the plus plus, all right? If I want to increment this count by 1, I will just do count plus plus. So but you cannot do, you can only increment by 1, not by 2 or by any other number. You can only by 1. So if I run, I will get 11. All right? So this one, you can only increase it by 1. So you also have the minus minus. So if I do minus minus, let me remove this comment. All right. So if I do minus minus, it will be 9. All right. So that is it. You can also have the start as in the multiplication equal to. All right. So I can say count is equal to count star 2. So what is this? If I run this now, you can guess it to multiply it by 2. Oh, sorry about this. All right, so sorry. It's supposed to be here. Star equal to 2. All right, so if I run it, I'm going to get 20 back. All right. If you also do divide equal to, oh, sorry, this our comment will not work here because of its comment. So, but you can, let me show it. You can also do divide equal to. All right, we'll have to change this to double. Don't worry, when we talk about data types, you're going to understand the difference between int and double. So if I divide, it will give you 5.0. Okay, so just make note of this. You're going to use them. They are shorthand to doing all those long things. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is where I will be stopping this training. I'll be ending this training here. If you have, I want you to practice everything that you have seen me do here. Do it like 5 times, 10 times so that you would understand these things. While you're doing it, if you encounter any difficulty, my WhatsApp is always available. Chat me up and I would attend to you. So thank you very much. We'll continue tomorrow. Remember, subscribe so that every day there must be training, and these trainings are free of charge. Share with your friends, let them come in, share with them, okay? So, but if you want a personal coaching, a personal mentorship, reach out to me and I will tell you the conditions that is involved in that, okay? All right. Have a great day.